Welcome class. Myself Pooja Verma going to start my lecture on topic else if ladder format. As previous we have completed topics what is the if statement and what comes under the if else statements. So now we are going to start what is the else if ladder format. As we can see that in case of else statement, we saw that if the given condition is true, then we go through the if statement. If our condition is false, if our condition statement value is false, then we go through the else statement scope area. Now, if we have any kind of conditions and situations where we face that we have a statement which comes under the if part, that means the given task is if true, then we go through the if part, and if the given condition is not true, then we need to go through the else part. But when we are moving to the else part, what we saw that here is also again a condition will be checked, and then we can move further. That means what? We have to check a new condition, that means you can say the condition number 2 in the part of else of condition number 1. Like we can see in a given flow chart what is exactly happened here. So first of all we need to know about what is the else if ladder format, what is the meaning of else if ladder, and how this format is actually called the ladder. Why we said that else if ladder? Why not said that else statement only? Why here a word ladder is being used? So now we can see the theory part of that, means the basic meaning of else if ladder. So this is not an another way of else if statement, but this is slightly different. There is slightly difference from the nested if else, because in this case we need to check if else and if else. That means if this condition is true, then we need to we have to do this part. If this condition is not true, then we need to check another part. And nested if that means if condition 1 is true, and then we go to check in the if part again condition 2, then again we need to check the condition 3 in the if part. This is the nested if. We can see this topic in the next slides, but first of all we just only need to know that the nested if else concept is different concept compared to the ladder else if concept. Don't mix both topics as the same, because both have the different meaning and both have a different role in the programming language. So the logic in this else if ladder is that the condition is checked again and again, and then if it's satisfied, then statement is executed, and if the program is not, that means the given condition is not satisfied, then rest of program being executed. But how the rest of program is executed? Like with the help of else condition. So what is the working procedure of this exactly? Now go through this flow chart. Maybe with the help of this flow chart you can easily understand what exactly I want to say. So start from this part. The condition number 1 is given, which is given into the if part, our initial if part. If this condition is true, then we go to the statement, and after that we go to the rest of program. But if the condition 1 has the value false, what is to go through here we need to check again. First we need to move to the else part of the if. When we go to the else part of the if statement, so what here we see, we saw that here again condition is need to be checked for the further activity. Like here the condition 2 is checked for the further activity statement 2, or further again if the condition 2 is true, then we go through the statement 2, and if the condition value is true, and then we go through the statement, and then we go to the rest of the program. Not need to check another part. But if the condition 2 is also false, then again what? else further we get the value if. Again we get the if from where? From the else part of the condition 1 else part. So what we see here? Else if. Again we see that else and then again see that what? If. Here again a condition is required to be checked. So what condition is to be checked here? Here we need to check the condition third. If the condition third is true, then we go to the again statement part, and after that followed by the rest of the program part. If a given condition is again false, then again like here I stop it, but if the condition is not here, again we saw the condition, then again here we check the condition 4 and so on and so on. So what is exactly here? Here a ladder will be created with the help of else. How? If this condition is true, then here, and then rest of program not need to check here in the ladder format, but if the condition is false. So false means what? Else part. Else if. Again else if. Again else. So what is exactly here? A ladder is created with the help of else. So exactly what occurs in the else if? First we need to check our given condition, but if the condition is not true, we go through the else part, and again we saw that in the case of else part we need to check again our new conditions, and again when we go through that condition, and again we found that we need to check another condition by else part of that. Okay, so here the ladder is being created with the help of else part, and what by which help of, by which combination of we get the else, we get the ladder format. So according to the flow chart we can see that else if, and else if, so that the name of this topic is known as the else if ladder format. Okay, so with the help of syntax we can see how we can write our program in the programming language, in the programming code. This is the exactly the syntax which is arised from the above flow chart. Like if the condition 1 is true, then we go through the statement, and after the statement is clear, we don't go through the else part, because as I already told you that at once only one condition is true. That means only one condition can be executed, either if part, either else part. Okay, so here the condition is true, then we execute our statements and then go to the rest of the program. But if the condition is false, then we go to the else part, and where in the else part again see that we need to check another condition. So we check the condition with the help of if. So don't need to check the change the line. If there is a type of this activity happen, that means else if. So we need to write this single here, else space if and our condition and then our statement. And again if we saw that we need to go through the else part, then again we write else if condition third, and so on and so on, and so further we can stop it like this. And now what is the exactly nested if else? What is exactly happen in the nested if else? There is nothing here. We just need to check if condition in the case of if, that means if and then if and then if. Okay, so this is called as nested if else condition. How? Just see the you can say that the nested if is just type of opposite meaning of the else if. Else if where we need to check if in the case of else, and again else, and then again there we go to the if part. But in the case of nested if we need to check the multiples if in the case of if condition. That means in the simple language we can say that someone told you that if this condition is true, then you need to check this condition. Okay, and if that condition is true, then you need to check this condition. Like number of conditions will be followed to get your goal, but where in the if condition, not else. Okay, like someone told you that if you got the 80% in your subject C in subject programming language in C, then you get the if you got the 60 marks in the programming C, then you need to give a makeup test. Like, so that means what? If your marks is less than 60, okay, if your marks is less than 60, then again what you have to be do it? You have to be do it again. You need to check if there are any kind of backlog or not. If you have any kind of backlog, so again what is happened? If you have any backlog, Okay, fine. Again, repeat it. I give you just a very simple example. If your marks is less than overall marks, that means overall percentage is less than 50%. Okay. No, take just 60%. If your marks is less than 60%, then you need to check. Then again, if you have any backlog, okay, so there are two conditions. If your marks is less than 60, and if you have any backlog, या फिर either you have backlog value is equal to 2, that means you have two number of backlog, then you need to give a special carryover exam. Okay, so what is exactly here? If your marks, your percentage is less than 60, then what is here exactly? Here you need to check your backlog. So I am going to check my backlog count, and if my backlog count is 2, then what is exactly happened here? Then I need to give the special carryover exam. So this is what happened here. If your number is less than this and this, that means you need to check the multiple condition in a given condition. That means condition and then condition and then condition and then your activity. So this is called the nested if. That means if comes under the if part. So exactly you can see here, if this if is comes under the given if part. Okay, so this is called the nested if. Similarly, like else part, and again if we and again you can see here. So in the case of if you have two backlog, then you need to give the two exams, need to give the carryover exam. If you don't have the two backlogs, then you don't need to give any exams. So here you need not need to give any exams under comes to the 60. That means if your percentage is less than 60 and your backlog count is equal to 2, then you need to give the carryover exam. Or if your backlog count is not 2, then you don't need to give any backlog in any carryover exam. This is comes under the if part. And second part is what? If your marks is greater than 60, then what? Then you need to check if is there in any carryover paper is equal to 1, that means number of backlog is equal to 1. If it is 1, then you need to give the exam. If it is not 1, that means less than 1, then you don't need to give any kind of exam. So what comes under this part? Your percentage is less than 60, then you need to check your carryover count. Number of carryover count is equal to 2, then you need to give the exam. If not equal to 2, that means less than 2, not greater than 2, so you don't need to give any exams. Again, else means what? The number is not less than 60, that means the number is greater than 60. Okay, here again we need to check, but still we need to check what our backlog. If the backlog is equal to 1, then I need to give the exam. If not equal to 1, that means less than 1, not more than 1, then you need to give the proper condition here. Then you don't give the don't require to give any special carryover here. So this is what exactly we felt. We felt that in the case of the ladder else statement, we have to go through the else part and then again check and again check and again check with through the else part. But what we see here we see that in the if case, we followed a combination of if else. That is, this is called the inner if else comes to the if part. Similarly, comes if else, again if else in the else part. That means what? Nested. This is called the nested. This portion is called the nested. Comes on inner if else statements comes under the outer if else statement. That means when we get the if else combo in the some given condition, this is called the nested, and we saw that nothing is happened here in the part of if, only we go through the number of activity through the else part, and then again we go through the next portion through the else part and then else part, then that is called the else if ladder. Else if ladder, that means only through the again and again through the if else in the inner loop. Okay, that means inner loop means what? Inner scope area. This is the scope area of the outer else area. But what we see here, we see that there is again a if and else statement which comes. They have their own scope area. Okay, so this is called the nested if part. So now go to the flow chart of this. What is the exactly flow chart of the nested if? The nested if tells us that if a given condition is true, if the condition is true, okay, then again you need to check the condition. Again I need to check the condition. Okay, fine. So again if your value is true, then you go through this. If your value is false, then you go through this statement. Similarly, in the case of else, we have again a combo of if and else. If the condition 3 is true, then we go through the statement this. If the condition 3 is false, then we go through the condition this. And overall the condition is followed by the rest of program, and then we go through the stuff. But what exactly happened in the else? In the case of the else, we don't have this part. This tree, sub a tree, doesn't exist in the above flow chart number 1. Where what we get there, we get that else and again if and then else and again if. So what is the else if a type of stair? Okay, so that is called that ladder if else if. So while creating the nested if else, one must be take care of the number of curly braces. This is the most important point. What is the curly braces? Number of curly braces? This portion. Like if you miss it, like if you missed it. Somehow here is not somehow, like you missed it, this is you missed it like here. If you open it and you missed it, okay, so what is happened here exactly? The else part is comes under the if portion only. That is, if this is this and then else this, and then again maybe read it else. So again you have to need here when you compile your program, you show a type of error that you missed your curly braces because of what? Else is followed by the again else. Here you missed your close braces. Okay, so you saw that a type of masses, syntax masses. Your compiler will be show you a type of error, and with the help of error you can resolve your error and so on. So how it is possible, we can see it also. So here, second point, a special care of else is for which if that means what? Special care of else is for which if. That means this is. Like, don't be confused in the else part of the first if and then second if else condition and in this else part. Because of what? Because you can see in the syntax there is a else and again followed by the else, but this else is a outer else and this else is the inner else of whole first if. That means if and then if else. This is a combo, nested if. So don't be confused with the inner if else to the outer if else. This is the most important point. Always always keep a track of your else if, and because with the slightly minutely care of this topic, what is there are lots of the confusion because of the handling with the if you don't handle your curly braces properly, if you don't handle your conditions properly, then you faced a lot of the confusion with handling the proper curly braces and so on. Maybe you confused and maybe you stop working and so on and so on. But have patience and do it with more and more carefully, like what it exactly comes under the what task, which activity exactly we are going to do. We are at the point of the outer if else or inner if else, and always check that you forget or not your to assign your curly braces or not. So as I already told you in the previous lecture, whenever you assign open curly braces, at the same time you also type your close curly braces. That means always type your pair of curly braces, open and close, so that you don't forget about to closing your curly braces. Sometimes most of the students has faced this problem because they open their scope area, but maybe confused with because of the lots of the confusion. They confuse that I close my curly braces or not, and so on. Then when they compile their program and then face so lots of the errors because of the single curly braces missing. Okay, so to remove your confusion, try to write your program at the same time of the same pair type. Okay, so here is a task I taken, like program, write a program in C to accept the three numbers from the users and print which number is the biggest and which number is the smallest or smallest. Okay, that means print the bigger or small number. So here I am going to print which number is big and which number is small. So with the help of this, as I read in the this task, that there are three numbers which is accepted from the users. As I see that the number will be taken from the user, that means user can randomly give us any kind of the number. So we need to check which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest. So first of all, to store the three numbers, we need to declare three variables. Here I just take the three numbers of type of integer only, not floating point. Okay, because our topic is our main concentration is on our logic, not conditions on which type of the data I need to take, and so on so on. If you want to check for the all type of the number, then you just take here only the float number. Okay, float A, B, C. Okay, so as we can see, we can write also int A semicolon, then new line, then int B semicolon, then int C semicolon, and with the help of the comma operator, I remove these two other lines with the help of and can write our program with the help of single statements. Okay, this is basically comes under the comma statements, where we saw that there A, B, C, all three variables are comes under the integer types only, so we can write in a single statement also. Again, I explained that CLR, SCR is a type of clear skin functions. With the help of this, our previous work that happened on our output screen will be removed and we can see our fresh work. Okay, so now again we saw that a function printf, that means what, here the printf function is basically used to print a statement, enter the three number. Exactly, this is here a type of instructions to given our user, like help guide our user that now you just put your three numbers. For that I checked which number is given by which number is given by you is biggest number and which number is given by you is the smallest number. So here I need to call a printf function to give the instruction to with the help of output screen to the particular user. As I already told you that for storing the numbers, that means the whatever the number is entered by the user or entered by the user is must be stored in our memory location, so that our processor can read that value from the memory and can also write that value into the memory also. So here I need to call a scanf function, which is basically a type of input functions, and by which our input device is activated to work. Standard or input devices is activated to accept the numbers, to accept the input value from the user. Now our input device is ready to take the input from the user, and which kind of the value it will be accept from the user. So as I see the format is specified, %d is being used here three times. Three times means what? The here the scanf function instruct our compiler that I accept three types of integer number only from the user with the help of standard input devices, not four times, not two times only. Here at exactly three times. Okay, so exactly three times I have to give the instructions to our keyboard to take the number from the users. So okay, fine, the number will be entered by the user, but exactly where the number is being to stored, where the data will be stored in our memory. In the memory or it is saved randomly. If the data given by the user is saved randomly, so how can we take the data from the memory, and how we can compare our data, same data which is given by now present users, to compare that their task to give the result which number is smallest and which number is the biggest. So I felt that I need to give the exact location to that value, that means So all the three values, all the three numbers which are entered by the user, it must be stored a particular location. So with the help of %a, I give the first number is entered by the user will be stored at a address A in the memory. Similarly, store the second number at location B in the memory. Store the third number at location C in the memory. Okay, fine. Now I have a memory which consists of three integers, variables A, B and C, and A, B and C basically used to store the three numbers entered by the user respectively. The first number will be stored in the A, and the second number will be stored into the B, and third number will be stored into the C. In this order, this is the order which is most important point. If I write the first B and A and then C, so what is exactly here? Whatever the user enter first, that means for example I enter the number 10, 9 and 11. So what is exactly here? Here if I type here B and A, so the number 1 like 10 will be stored into the B, and then again the number 9 will be stored into the number in the variable A. Now when we change the order of this variable, so this is the most important point, in which variable I want to store my data. In the same order I need to write here the location. That means for simple example, if you want to post a letter, then you must have enter the exact address of that your friend for that particular location to give the exact letter to that particular friend. Not a same time if you post the two letter, then you just say that okay, whatever the order of their address doesn't mean anyone can receive any one of the data. No, you have to be need to enter the exact location of actual friends. That means if the friend A and friend B is here, then if you want to communicate with the friend A, then you need to send your data to the exact location of A only. Okay, so similarly here also, with the help of the %A, %B, %C, we just give the exact location of about our entered data. Now what is the main logic? Our main logic will be started from here. I need to check which number is the biggest. So I just think about, if our A, that means first value is equal to B, and our second value is also equal to the third value. So what is exactly here? Our first number is equal to second, and second number is equal to third. That means what? All are the number are equal. Okay. So this is also a probability. That means the user want to check, want to cross check to us our program. So user can enter all numbers similar, like 888. So what is the biggest number? 8. What is the smallest number? 8. So that means we can also print that the number given by the user all are equal. Okay. So for that only I just write here, if this condition is matched, that means if the first value is equal to the 2, and also we can write here if the B is equal to C. That means if and if, that means nested if. If the B is equal to C, then all the number are equal. If not equal to B, B is not equal to C, then number is not equal. Okay. So we need to check again. So here according to our question, I just check that if the first number is equal to second number and the second number is equal to the third number, so we can show that all our number are equal. So this is the AND operator, as I already told you, the logical AND. And what is the exactly happened and comes under the logical AND? Logical AND tells us that the both situation must be true. That means if first condition is true and if the second condition is true, then we can go through this part, otherwise we go through the next part. So next part is what? The next portion from this close bracket. So next portion is comes from this bracket is if part, not else. Here the none of the else part is been written here. If else part is written here, then we don't go through the else part, we just move to the rest of the program. But here the next part is not else, so we can go through this part only. So now our second logic is what? If our first value is just simple task. This is a given, this question is very simple task, like if our first number is greater than second number and our first number is also greater than the third number. So what is exactly here? if the first number is greater than B and also the first number is greater than C, so we can say that now A is the biggest number. So, but I also need to check which number is the smallest. So as I told you that if the A is greater than B and A is greater than C, so what we found here with the help of this statement, we found that A is the biggest number. Okay, fine. A is the biggest, but what for the smallest number? So we need to check between B and C, which one is the bigger. If the B is biggest, then C is the smallest. If the C is the biggest, then B is the smallest number. Okay, understood now? Like if A, B and C, there are three numbers to given to you, and I just say that the number 1 is greater than 2 and 3, so 1 is the biggest number. Okay, fine. With the help of statement we clear about the greatest number. But what about the smallest number? So rest of the two data B and C, we need to cross check which one is the smallest. So either you can check that which one is the smallest, like C is smaller than B or C is greater than B. You can do it with the help of if else also, either you can do it if and if also. Like here you can also write if B is less than C, like that. So exactly what is happened, A is greater than B, A is greater than C, that means A is the biggest. Okay, and if B is less than C, if B is less than C, that means B is the smallest number. But what exactly here? So here I use the B is greater than C. So maybe some student write here B is less than C. Both are true, but the exactly output will be changed here. So output will be what? B is smallest number. If I write here B is the smallest, so I just here type the greater than value. So just again look at here. From this we get the A is the biggest, but if the B is greater than C, that means what? C is the smallest. So here I print A is the biggest and C is the smallest number. Similarly, I write here that if the C is the bigger than B, so which number is the smallest? So B is the smallest. This is the first part. When the first number is bigger, then A is the biggest number and rest of two numbers, which one is the small, we can find with the help of these two comparison. Similarly, check for the B. Now I am going to check for the B. If the second number is greater than first number and second number is greater than the third number, so which number is the greater number? Second number. That means B is the biggest number. Okay, fine, I found it. But which number is the smallest? So I need again check if the first number is greater than C. So I check it. So I check it that if A greater than C, if this condition is true, then which number is the smallest? Then C is the smallest number. Okay, so this is the smallest. Similarly, if the C is greater, you can also write here else also. If you write here else, then don't need to write this part. If you write here else, then don't type here this condition, just write the else. You can also remove this line with the help of else keyword. Just write the else, with the help of else, it is automatically understand that A is less than C. That A is less than C means what? C is greater than A. So you can also write this, and you can also here write the else and then write the print B is biggest and A is the smallest number. Now again similarly, I need to check that the given third number is greater than A and the number third entered by the user is greater than B also. That means the third number is greater than first number and second number also. So what we found here? We found that the entered third number is the biggest number. Okay. We found that C is the biggest number. But which one is the smallest? So I need to check again between the first two number A and B. If A is greater than B, then B is the smallest. Else, which one is the smallest? A is the smallest. Okay. So again here I told you that if you want to write this, you can write it with the help of if, just opposite of this. If you want to just opposite of this without any given condition, then you can just write here else. Okay. So with the help of else, it is automatically convert the opposite of this. That means A is not greater than B. That means which one is the greater than B? Sorry, which one is the greatest? B is the greater than A. So if the B is greater than A, then which one is smallest? A is the smallest. So this is the questions for our task. So just check it here. I also here explain the which one is the smallest and which one is the largest. So with the help of this example, just take the three numbers 4, 5, 6. Here the user enter the three numbers 4, 5 and 6. So according to our program, just check it. Okay, so now I'm going to check again. So I just check if A is equal to B and B is equal to C. So just check 4, 5, 6. So 4 is equal to 5? No. If the first condition is false, if the first condition, first value is false of AND operator, then we don't need to check the second part of AND operator. We don't need, because AND is told us that both value must be true. So if the first is false, then don't need to check the second portion, just out of this scope area. When we go through the out of this scope area, I need to check this if part. So according to the if, first number is greater than second. What is our first number? Our first number is 4. So 4 is greater than 5? No. So again, if this condition is false, then we don't need to check this part because of this AND operator. So again, we just out of this if part. So from here, where we go to? We move to the if part. Out of this if part, if area will be closed here, so we need to go to the if part. That means second if. Second if is tell us that B second number is greater than first number. So I just check that 5 is greater than 4. Okay, this is true. So true. So we need to check to the second part of the AND operator. Here we go to the check the second number and third number. So here told us that second number, that means 5 is greater than 6. No. So what we get here exactly? Here we get that for the first statement we get the true and false. So with the help of AND truth table, we found that if the both value is true, then we go through the if part. If the any one value is a false, then whole value of if part is false. If the condition is false, so where we have to go? We go to the out of this if part. So we go to the third part. And when we go to the third part, then here we saw that if the third value is greater than A, that means 6 is greater than 4. Yes, true. And then 6 is greater than 5. Yes, true. So what is exactly here happened? Here we need to check A is greater than B. That means 4 is greater than 5. No, 4 is not greater than 5. That means again we need to check if. So 5 is greater than 4. Yes, 5 is greater than 4. So here print that C is the big. C means what? 6. C is the big and A is the small number. So just check it here also. C is big and A is small. What is the value of C? Value of C is equal to 6 and value of A is equal to 4. So just check it. If you are a mathematical background student, then you can easily check it. Second class student can also told us, first class student can also told us which number is the smallest and which number is the greatest. So just check your output, final output, and check, cross check it. The given output is lines on the screen is correct or not. So we found that the correct. Okay. Now again a simple example I write here with the help of if else. Here I also mentioned that with the help of if else only. The task is that check the given character entered by the user is a type of vowel or not. Okay. Here I also mentioned that with the help of using only if else. So what is the vowel? As per English language, A, E, I, O, U is a vowel. But as I already told you that C is a case sensitive. That means if we write lowercase of A and also we write the uppercase of A, like here, uppercase of A and lowercase of A is not same for the C language. This is the most important point. Is not same for the C language because of C language is a case sensitive language. For C language, A has a different meaning, a different character, and small a has a is known as the different character. Okay. So for that, to check the given alphabet is vowel or not, we need to mention all lower and upper vowel set. That means if there are A, E, I, O, U or uppercase in uppercase A, E, I, O, U, then our alphabet is known as the vowel. That means entered alphabet is vowel, otherwise the alphabet is not vowel, either you can say also the consonant. So what is exactly here? If the enter the character first is A or E or I or U or small u or capital A or capital E. So what we found that not at the same time all of them occur, because at the same time user can enter only one character. Okay, so that will be the comes under the these set, like any one of the following set. That means total how many possibility, total we have possibility of 10 possibility. If users possibility meet any one of this, that means either a, that means or, not a and, not both must we have comes at the same time, any one. So this is the most important point to decide to take decision between the which operator must be used here. So I found that if any one of the alphabet is entered, any one of alphabet is entered by the user, then the character is vowel. So this is the most important point. At the same time, we can enter one character, so we need to use or operator here, because or anyone, because either of any one of from the 10 possibility made matched, then the character is vowel. So what is exactly happened here? We just find the logic that if our 10 sets with the help of operator or, then vowel, else not vowel. So how we can apply or operator in our question? So as in previous example, I mentioned that about the AND operators, how we can call AND operator in the program part. So similarly, I also want to explain how we can apply OR operator. So such type of question where we have the number of possibilities and any one of the possibility will be matched, then our output will be this. So we need to always mention OR operator. Okay, so here first we need to take a character from the user, store it in the format specified %C. For that, our compiler can understand and instructs our input device that accept only character types of data, not any integer, not any special symbol, not any else, only character. And store it where? Store it into the C variables in the memory locations. So this % is basically used for the providing the memory locations. And now check that the number, the character is entered by the user is matched from this set. So I just check it like small a, or. So if any one of the possibility is matched, then we need to print entered character is vowel. If any one character is not matched, that means none of these is matched, so entered character is not vowel. So what is exactly happens our output on the our output screen? We saw that, for example, first time user enter a character capital F. So what will be happen here? So capital F is stored into the small c in the memory locations, and according to our if conditions, c is equal to small a. No, that means false, again false, 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 again false, then false, false and false. So what is exactly the meaning of OR operator? The OR operator tells us that if any one value, if any one condition value is true, then whole value is true. So here both whole value, that means total for the 10 possibility, we found that false value. So overall value of if is false. So if condition is false, then where we have to go? We go to the else. We have to move to the else, and where else? In the else part, we print, we have one instruction only, enter character is not vowel. So we saw that on our output screen, the enter character is not vowel. Okay, good. So again, user want to reject. So again, user again compile it and run this program and enter character capital U. That means uppercase of U. So what exactly happened here? Exactly again the C in the C, the which present value is capital U. So here the value of C is equal to A? No. False, 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 false. Here is also false because this is the lower case and user entered the uppercase. So here again false, 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 false. But what exactly happened here? True. If any one value is true, then whole value of this condition is true. If the whole value of this condition is true, that means guess what? We have to go to the if part, and then if part tell us that the intercharacter is vowel. So what will exactly comes onto the output screen? The intercharacter is vowels. So as you know about our English language, and we know that F is not a vowel and U is a vowel. So here our program is also run successfully. So this is a total basic introduction about the what is the if else statement, what is the else if ladder format, what is the nested if, when we call the nested if, when we call the else if, when we call the else if ladder format, and so on. So this is the total. In this video lecture we finally complete our decision making statement, if else, ladder if else, nested if else, and so on. From the next video lecture we have to go through the loop statements, and with the help of loop statement we can see that the number of similar activity will be reduced with the help of loop statement, how it is very helpful for us to save our time, space, and so on, because the main task of our programming language is to save the time and also save the storage area. Okay, so with the always keep in your mind the time complexity and space complexity of your program also. Don't be think that the number of lines will be written here is very accurate data, to get the very accurate data is very good. Not in the industry field, this is not acceptable, because this is called that machine. And what is the exactly the meaning of machine? To take the lesser and lesser number of times as compared to the normal human being. So that only the programming language is also always concerned about the time complexity and space complexity. So for that only, to reduce these points, the new topic will be introduced, which is known as the loop topic. So thank you class, as today we have completed our topic about the if condition, decision making statements, if else if, ladder if, and nested if, so on. So good luck, have a good day.